Hello and welcome to New Jersey Politics with Laura Jones. I am Laura Jones and it is so good to have you here. Coming up on today's show, Assemblywoman Brittany Timberlake, a Democrat who represents the 34th Legislative District. She's been involved in a number of new bills in the legislature looking to address issues from road safety to health care inequities. She's standing by. First, though, we welcome Assemblywoman Kim Oellner to the show. She's here to talk about what's driving crime in her district, literally. Car thefts are up, so let's get to it. Catalytic converter thefts are on the rise in New Jersey, and pressure is growing for lawmakers to take action. Assemblywoman Kim Oellner, a Republican from the 11th District, which takes in parts of Monmouth County, has introduced a bill to do just that, potentially increasing the penalties for this type of theft. Assemblywoman, it is good to see you. Thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you, Laura. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Well, we're hearing more and more in the news about car thefts being up, but this one is well, tell us a little bit about the bill that you're sponsoring and what's inspired it.
Okay, it's Bill A5058, and it's a bill upping the penalties for anyone caught stealing catalytic converters and or dealing with the elements that make up those converters. It's a very lucrative business. Over $545 million was earned by a group of people that were selling these in New Jersey.
Say that number again.
$545 million.
It's almost $500 million.
Yes.
This is a business. So people aren't just stealing cars. They're stealing the parts of the car that you can drive your car without, but it more or less it helps with the emissions, right? So is this? So what's going on? Why?
Well, a catalytic converter, if it's stolen, could earn the thief $500. So that's pretty good money if you're maybe under 18, maybe part of a gang. But then whenever that part is then purchased by someone else, it can be broken down. There's elements that make up the converter to help make the engines run and everything that happens. And those elements are worth more out of the catalytic converter than they are in it. Right, and then again, it translates into these huge business opportunities for those unsavory people, again, making over $545 million.
Right, and then just to give a little context, so last November, there was a bust of a multi-state theft ring that was being orchestrated. So can you talk a little bit about what happened, how it impacted not just your state, but all over the state of New Jersey?
Yes. So two counties, Monmouth County, which is who I represent, and Burlington County, there was 21 individuals arrested across 5 different states. There was this huge ring. So then it's a disadvantage to the car owner. In order to get a new catalytic converter installed, it could cost up to $7,000. And because these are getting stolen, there's a shortage. So that obviously brings up the price of replacing it. And you don't even know it's gone until you attempt to drive your car.
Right. What exactly are you trying to do? So people are fed up, they're tired. I know that we at the end of the year, we had the sheriff on, just talking about the frustration of bail reform and how car theft, it's a lucrative business. But can you specifically talk about what it is that you are trying to do? What can you do as a lawmaker representing that district?
Yes, definitely. So this bill, again, A5058, will increase the penalties for anyone getting caught or being arrested for this theft. So typically, second and third degree offenses have fines up to $150,000 and $15,000 respectively. So if this bill does pass, it will increase that. So again, the people will be jailed and then they will be fined as well. And that, we hope, will definitely be a reason to disincentivize people from wanting to do these thefts.
Now, what type of support are you getting from the other side of the aisle, from the governor's office? Are you getting support?
It's hard to say. We do have fellow Republicans who are wanting to co-sponsor or be part of this bill. And there are some people from the other side of the aisle that are inquiring about it. So I feel this situation or these thefts are affecting everybody. It doesn't matter what political party you are. So let's all work together. So I think this and the other auto theft bills that I'm either sponsoring or co-sponsoring does get some sort of work across the aisle done.
But what, I mean, it seems like it should be a no-brainer. Am I missing something? Why aren't both sides of the aisle working to, to try and put a stop to the thefts, and also if you are caught, increasing the penalties? It seems like a no-brainer, but it's not happening.
No, it's not. And I think, and I understand that there are people feeling that bail reform was helping the people who might have gotten arrested for having, say, too many parking tickets. And that person may not have had the funds to pay bail, so they're stuck in jail. But these bills are focusing on the people that aren't those sort of innocent non-ticket payers, but the ones that are thieves and ruining our quality of life in Monmouth County and beyond. So we're just sort of focusing in on these types of crimes to help us all be able to go to sleep at night and know or hope that when we wake up, our cars will be there, and or the catalytic converters will still be in the car.
Well, how are they getting it? Are there tips that you've been trying to provide to your constituents to protect themselves while you're trying to work this out in the legislature, what you can do from that end?
Right. So obviously it's about being aware. So close your garage doors, lock your cars, take the key fobs out. If you do leave your key fob in your house, don't have it by the front door on the kitchen counter, because thieves are now entering homes, which is multiplying the scariness of all of this. So being wise, but we also have this great way of living, especially in Monmouth County. We never had to lock our doors growing up, even when my children were younger. But now you have to sort of batten down the hatches, because you never know who's going to be driving down, your street, whether it's a beautiful, big mansions cul-de-sac, or I live in a pretty populated, street in Beechwood, and it's happened on my street as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, crime doesn't respect area codes. It can happen anywhere. But is this happening more in people's own driveways? Is it happening at the grocery store, shopping malls? Like, where is it happening? How quick can these thieves get in and get what they need and get out?
It's pretty quick. And in my mind, it's still happening in people's driveways, because at night when you're sleeping, maybe all your lights are off, maybe the dog's sleeping, so they're not going to hear any sort of ruckus out in your driveway. I think it could be done at, say, a shopping center, but in my mind, that would be bringing more attention if you see someone climbing under your car. So I think it's more during the darkness of night that it's happening.
Yeah. And so, what have you had any constituents coming up to you, talking to you? Maybe waking up hearing noise. That God forbid could end tragically, more than just a theft. Like you hear something, your dog does bark, you go out to see what's going on, and what stories are you hearing?
Well, we've heard obviously some gentleman in northern New Jersey chased someone with a gun, so that's dangerous, because he could have shot himself, could have shot the thief, and it's just a matter of people breaking into homes to try to find the key fobs and more. So it's just, again, our quality of life is at danger. And that's, all of New Jersey is beautiful. And of course, we're very proud of us here in Monmouth County that we have a beautiful place to live. It's very peaceful, but now it's scary. And we are working with our fellow legislators within the county and beyond, because this is affecting everyone throughout the state.
Yeah. When you ran for office, is this something that you thought you would have to be dealing with?
No, it's kind of comical. I told my sons that I was going to be interviewed about catalytic converters, and they chuckled. They're like, what do you know about it? But being in the legislature, I have learned so much about what affects our constituents, our state, whether it's this, mental health, funding, just you name it. It's been such an education, and I'm honored to be in the legislature.
Well, and I think that's an important part of representing constituents is you go in and you want to look at quality of life. People are having a hard time paying bills. Taxes are expensive, so those are the traditional things. But then when you have an area where you're seeing this type of theft, to be able to shift and to pivot and not just talk about it, but actually say, all right, I've got a bill, and here's where I'm going to go. Here's what I'm going to do. That's exactly. Very important.
Exactly. And that's the thing. We're here to represent, and Marilyn Paperno is my fellow assemblywoman here in LD11. We work to support and to work for everybody, whether they're Republicans, Democrats, independents, you name it. We're here to represent everybody within our towns within Monmouth County.
So before I let you go, New Year is here underway. Aside from this, do you have any other legislative priorities or any other things that you'd like to see get accomplished this year or on your list of issues to attack?
Yes. So above and beyond this catalytic converter bill, we have about 13 other bills, whether we're sponsoring or co-sponsoring, related to car thefts. One of my main points away from that is mental health. School funding, the source of Red Bank Regional was going to be defunded. And fortunately, Governor Murphy heard us and he funded them for another year. But we're hopeful that this program and others throughout the state will be a regular part of the budget going forward. Mental health is affecting everybody from young children to seniors, our first responders, our military veterans, you name it. So that's very, very important as well this year.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about the mental health aspect is how it's really evolving. And now that students are back in school, it's been 2 years since we first were shutting things down, but we're still seeing the effects. My daughter's away in college, and people say, "Oh, well, this class, you all have all of these issues. Well, this class, they've got all of these issues." So we're starting to see, some of the effects of the efforts that people had to take at the time, we had to take, but certainly some issues. Students have fallen behind. They may not have the support that they need, and trying to rebuild those connections is certainly hard.
Exactly. Yeah, we've had 2 years of learning loss, and it's really going to affect us all going down as we get beyond this. It's pretty scary, and we need to pay more attention to it and put more funding toward it as well. I attended the State of the State, which is always a great honor. And we pointed out, the governor pointed upstairs to all of his, the heads of all the committees, and he did not mention the head of the education committee, which I found it's more interesting what you don't say than what you say. So we do know that there's issues that we need to correct within our educational system.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the first budgets I ever covered was when Christy Whitman was in office, and the majority of the budget went to education because it's hard to explain a state budget, but that was one of the points, as the majority of it was going to education, even though so much is funded. But yeah, helping young people at the source to prevent them from getting in situations where they might feel helpless, disenfranchised, and going out and committing crimes. I'm not saying that the teenagers are the ones doing this, but it all seems to work hand in hand.
It does, definitely. It's all connected.
Yeah. Well, Assemblywoman, we thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you. It's been an honor, as I said, and I welcome to speak with you in the future. And it's been wonderful, and have a wonderful day.
Oh, you too. We look forward to having you back with an update.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks. Have a good day.
Assemblywoman Brittany Timberlake is a Democrat who represents the 34th Legislative District, which takes in parts of Essex and Passaic counties. She's been involved in a number of new bills in the state legislature looking to address issues from road safety to health care inequities. Assemblywoman joins us now. It's so good to see you. Thank you for coming on.
It's good to see you too, and thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, a new year, there's a lot going on in the state legislature. So, and you recently held a press conference, and you were talking about the need to improve safety, specifically along Freeway Drive in East Orange. So can you talk a little bit about what's going on, the safety concerns?
Oh, absolutely. It has been a major issue here in throughout the Oranges, East Orange and Orange. It is a freeway that runs in the middle of our two towns, and it has become one of the most dangerous in the state. Approximately about 900 accidents within the last 4 years. There's been about 18 deaths, and it is a tragedy, as we've seen it be a detriment to pedestrians who are walking, bicyclists who have also been killed, and even a car that plummeted right through a 7-Eleven that sits a little off of Freeway Drive. It's very dangerous, and we're looking for the support to have that entire corridor redone with common sense safety measures, such as interactive stop and go signs and timing the lights in a better way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whenever you're dealing with traffic, I mean, and transportation, that is not an easy issue to tackle. It's something that can be very expensive. So what are some of the solutions that you're looking to address here? And I'm sure that this isn't the only place in New Jersey who has issues like this, but it's the one that you're talking about. What are you looking to do that you can hope will help?
I think that making out clear blind spot indicators for both drivers as well as people who are on foot can see and know that if they're crossing at that spot, they're crossing at their own risk, and then they're not supposed to be crossing there. And that way drivers also know to be a little bit more aware because it's a blind spot. Synchronizing the lights in a different way. The lights that are running along east and west, maybe putting those on a bit of a delayed green, because you have people who are trying to race the yellow light. Sometimes some people, when they see a yellow light, it means hurry up before it turns red instead of slow down. And that's an unfortunate situation that has caused many deaths in the area. One most recently, right before the holidays, a family received a phone call that their loved one had been killed. He was a pedestrian walking to work.
Oh, that's horrific. Now, it would seem that things like syncing the lights should be something simple to do. Are you finding it simple to do or not so much?
Well, bureaucracy is put in place to keep order, but sometimes too much of it can delay processes that are more so easier. And, we recognize that there has to be traffic studies, and there have been some, and we recognize all of these different things, but we also recognize that the time to act is now, because we cannot have another loss of life or damage to property or people who are experiencing life-sustaining injuries because of the freeway drive and its inconsistencies.
Are you getting the support you need from local officials, from local law enforcement? Are they helping?
Yeah, absolutely. We have had the support of the city of East Orange, as well as the city of Orange, Mayor Ted Green and Mayor Dwayne Warren. And we've also had the support of the county of Essex, along with all of the public safety departments within those three entities. We have all of the support we need here on the ground, but what we need is for there to be more so movement with the Department of Transportation, and to have to do this as quick as possible.
Right, yeah. To speed this up while slowing down the issue of traffic accidents, not to play on words there. Now, you're a very busy person. You're also sponsoring legislation addressing some health care, specifically a bill that would make prenatal health care a little bit more accessible. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I was sworn into the legislature 4 years ago while I was 9 months pregnant. And I've since been able to birth 2 additional times in a healthy way, thank God. And I am trying to open up access so that other women have access to the same things that I was able to have access to, whether or not that's information or access to premium healthcare facilities that have mommy-baby certified designation. So we have a bill that would require all hospitals with the maternity ward to acquire a mommy-baby friendly designation, which really does a lot of emphasis around breastfeeding, around skin-to-skin contact. When you have these designations, it is more so done in the most healthy way possible for moms and babies in order to reduce the maternal as well as infant death rates that we see, particularly as it relates to African American women, which I am. So the other thing would require healthcare insurance companies to pay for home births for all women who are covered under their insurance. This is often something that is done paid out of cash. Primarily wealthy women have access to this option and opportunity. But I think that it's a right to choose issue. Women should have access and have the right to choose however they want to birth, if they're healthy enough to be able to do that and to choose that option. The other thing is requiring lactation consultants. So we know the numbers on breastfeeding and all the different benefits that a baby has from breastfeeding, from immunities, from it being less expensive for the household, to even helping them with their nutrition in their future. And even there's correlations between higher IQ scores and feeding natural. So, just trying to open up access. And we have quite a few others as well, providing birthing options to women who are going in for delivery, so that a woman knows that she could choose to do a natural way of birth, or she could choose to do a medicated way of birth. Because again, it's all about a woman's right to choose and to support her in doing that.
Right. And when you're in the middle of it, you don't know what to ask for,
That's
how
right.
to advocate for yourself, and you don't often know until you have been through it. People don't know what they don't know. And some of the things that you're pointing out, like a lactation consultant, you would think, well, what do you mean? Hospitals don't have that, but not all do.
Not all do, and that's my point. My husband and I, we travel about a good 30 to 45 minutes to get me to the hospital every time it's time to give birth, and also for our care. But we recognize that we have the privilege of transportation. We recognize that we have the privilege and the access to the information to even research one of the best hospitals to birth at in the state of New Jersey. And then also understanding what makes them the best. And part of that is acquiring that mommy baby designation. So every hospital with the maternity ward should have that designation and start to work toward it, because what about people who don't have that access
Right.
to be able to go that far?
And that's the thing. Things so many people take for granted. Transportation,
Right.
and people who aren't able, so many women do have the privilege of being able to think and to plan and to, I want to go here and I want this particular doctor. And even when you have those plans, they still don't always work out.
Right.
But so many women, they have no options. It's wherever they go, whoever's available, and whatever the shifts are at that time. And they're in and they're out.
That's right.
So quick, so quick.
quick.
And what about that? Is that something that you has come to your mind? Because I had C-sections, and at first I was, concerned about having to be in the hospital so long, but I felt so privileged afterwards, knowing, wow, I got a lot more information from the nurses of what to do, how to care for my child, if I would have just been in and out so quickly.
Right. No, that's fantastic that you feel heard, and that's what women want to feel ultimately, is that they feel heard, and to be supported in their birth plan and their birth decision, but recognizing that things don't always go according to that plan. And sometimes women are not informed in the process of what birthing is. Sometimes C-sections are planned and willing, and that's something that a woman wants to do, which I'm all about women's empowerment, more power to a woman who wants to do that. And then other times there's a woman who may not necessarily want that, but be forced into it by medical circumstances. And that, again, is something that I could not support, because if she's being forced into it, then that's not necessarily her choice.
Right.
And it may not necessarily be because she's in a situation in which she could die that she needs a C-section. It could be just that someone has a tea time on a golf course and they're trying to rush the room along.
And there's another program. It's called the Community Wealth Preservation Program. Can you talk a little bit about that? I know we got onto the healthcare because that, very passionate topic for me as well.
Yeah. The Community Wealth Preservation Program bill is something that, it was actually the first bill I began to write whenever I was sworn into office in the Assembly. And it's a bill that has been moving along the process. We got it to the governor's desk. Unfortunately, he conditionally vetoed it. The bill would create a program that will allow people an opportunity to save their home from foreclosure. It could be a person who's going through foreclosure. It could be their next of kin even. So let's say, it's like, hey, mom and dad, I didn't know things were getting so bad. I know dad lost his job and I see the house is in foreclosure. Don't worry, I could go down and save it. That's what a son or a daughter could say to their parents, and go down to the foreclosure sale with 3.5% down, and be able to finance the house and capture and buy that house back. Whereas right now, the process is full of investors, oftentimes from out of state, many times corporate-like investors who are just buying to flip profit in the community, which property flipping, it is a noble profession. There's nothing against that at all about this bill. But what it is that we want to make sure that we create the equity for people who are losing their homes or who want to have a stake in the community, to be able to participate in the process in an equitable way. Right now, you would need 20% down, cash or money order, and the rest of the money due within 30 days.
And you're already in a terrible situation. So how in the world are you supposed to have this?
Exactly.
I mean, you're already at a terribly vulnerable time.
Totally. And most of the people that I know don't have 20% liquid and the rest of the 80% sitting in an account somewhere to be able to do this. So getting financing opportunities to purchase these houses back is very important to create equity in the process. It would be for the person who's experiencing foreclosure, their next of kin, and even nonprofit organizations who are committed to turning the property into affordable home ownership or rental opportunities, or even a person who's saying, no, I'm going to get this house to live in this house, to live in this community, to be a part of it, to whether or not that's to raise a family or to just participate in any way for at least 7 years. They would be able to use this program. And it's about equity. So right now, we're working very hard to get the bill back to the governor, but a bill that everyone can be on board with.
Well, Assemblywoman, you have your hands full, some amazing causes that you're working at that impact the people of your state, the people of your district in a very real, tangible way. I mean, thank you so much for coming to talk about this, and we would love to have you back again.
Thank you so much for having me.
And that'll do it for today. I'm Laura Jones. Thanks so much for joining us here at New Jersey Politics. We look forward to seeing you back here next time.